Good evening, folks. Russell here. On the workbench today is actually going to be my watch. Custom built Seiko dive watch, and I've got a problem with it, so I've got to make a minor repair. So what's happened to this watch is the luminous pip in this white triangle has fallen out. So we've got to replace this bezel insert. So the bezel of the watch is the part that rotates around. So whether you're using it for timing or for multiple time zones, it's an adjustable part of the watch. And the insert is this ceramic piece inside it, and of course this ceramic bezel insert is graduated for 60 minutes. So this is a timing bezel. So we've got to pop it off and replace that insert because the pipper's gone, and I've got a couple different ones to choose from. And I'll make a hip pocket decision on which bezel insert to put in as we go. So let's get started on this repair. This isn't a hard repair to do. If you've never fooled with watch repair before, or watch building, I actually built this watch. It can be a little daunting at first, but like a lot of things people do nowadays is you YouTube and watch videos and read articles and blogs about how to do this stuff. And so the first thing we've got to do is pop this bezel off. Sometimes it is easier said than done. Alright, so we weren't able to get the bezel off, so the alternate way to take these off, and the reason we couldn't get the bezel off, I don't know how close we can zoom in. There's absolutely no gap between my bezel and my watch case, so I'm not able to get the pry tool in and pry this out. There's a pretty tight gasket, water seal gasket. So the alternate way is to take a razor, an X-Acto razor knife, and slip it between the crystal and the bezel insert, and slowly work it around. Now I've already done this, so basically you're slicing the glue off to get it out. Once it's out, and if we had popped the bezel off and basically done the same thing from the inside and gotten it out, and once it's out, you put it right back on because you've got to have it at a certain notch when you put it back together. So all I'm going to do is get a little bit of magic juice here, a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and kind of clean this old glue residue up. And I use a GS Hypo cement. You can buy it at your hobbycraft stores, your Hobby Lobby, and I think Michael's sells it, stuff like that. But it's a pinpoint precision. It's for doing beads and other stuff. But it's a really good, quick adhesive to put these in. So I'm going to clean this out really well, and then I'm going to take a quick look. I'm going to take my razor, kind of just come in here and scrape it a little bit, make sure we've got as much of that old adhesive out of there. Now obviously if the bezel had been removed from the case, this would be a little bit easier to do as far as cleanup and removal, but we should be just fine. It should work just fine. Just kind of scratch that up a little bit, and I'm sure there's some other, I probably could have used a naphtha or pick a solvent to clean this stuff out with, but alcohol does a pretty decent job, and it won't hurt the stainless steel at all. So yeah, that's cleaned up pretty well. So I'm going to let that dry for a second while I pull out. Now, like I said, I've got two different bezel inserts to work with here. Now watch me, I'm going to need a tool to open up a plastic case. I've got two to choose from here. I've got one that is identical to the one I had in there. And this is what they call a mill Submariner. So it's fashioned after a Rolex Submariner mil-spec bezel insert.
And then I've got another one that's fashioned more after the Omega style, and the pip has a red triangle around it. So this is the one I've decided I want to use on this watch. So they're really easy to put in. You just index your bezel so that it's on the click. It's got a 120 click bezel, so you just make sure it's centered on a click. You pull out your insert. And I'll take a little bit of this hypo cement. Which is all glued up. And I put just a small bead right at the edge, and this is one of those you don't worry so much about a little too much, because when it pushes out it's real rubbery, so it's real easy to just take a small razor knife afterwards and kind of clean it up. So a small bead of the cement in there, a little more down here. I want to make sure this one sticks really good. Let that sit for a second. I'm going to put my cap back on, which I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. Cap's back on. So this is ready to put in. And obviously I want to kind of perfectly line up my pip at the 12 o'clock mark. So it's lined up really good. Press it in. And that is it. Now it's just a matter of waiting a few minutes for it to cure. And while I'm waiting, I'll go ahead and clean my excess glue off with another Q-tip with some alcohol on it. And this watch repair will be done. Now granted, this is nothing more than a cosmetic repair. There's a lot of people in the Seiko dive watch community. This is called watch modding, where they would take a bone stock Seiko SKX 007 or a 009 and change this insert out to something like, say, a Rolex type insert, or just change the color from black to green, or if they've got one with a blue one, from blue to red, or stuff like that. And it's really simple to do with the right tools. And once again, you could probably, honestly, you can change these inserts out with nothing more than a razor knife, as I just demonstrated. Not the most ideal way to do it. Like I said, this was a custom built watch that I actually built from a hodgepodge of different Seiko parts. Partly because I wanted the 24-hour time dial. I wanted black background with white numerals instead of white background, black numerals. So this is a completely custom built watch, all the way down to the laser SWAT operator emblem engraving on the back. Kind of a nod to my recent past. So, all right, here we are. We've got the watch cleaned up. Got the band back on, and I just kind of wanted to show a little bit about this watch. Like I said, I wanted the 24-hour dial on it, as well as black background, white numeral, day date function, red second hand. So that's kind of why I built this as a custom watch. Really happy with it. I built this watch about a year ago, and it serves me well. Of course, it's a Seiko automatic movement. No batteries required, no sunlight. It winds itself based on the movement of your wrist. And like I said before, if you like this content, make sure and hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon. You'll know when we got more stuff coming. So More to follow.